Thank you, sir. The Honorable Governor will now felicitate Thiru J.K. Arora, former Additional Chief Secretary and Development Commissioner, Government of Karnataka. Thiru J.K. Arora will now be felicitated by the Honorable Governor. Thank you, sir. We now request the Honorable Governor to felicitate Professor Amarjeet Singh Narang, retired Professor of Political Science and former Registrar at Indira Gandhi National Open University. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Governor will now felicitate the cultural team led by Thiru J. Kamaraj, IAS Director, Central Bureau of Communication, whose performance on Partition Horrors will be witnessed by us within a short while from now. Good round of applause. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we now humbly request the Honorable Governor to address the gathering.
Distinguished dignitaries on the dais, all the eminent citizens present here, and my dear young friends, students. At the outset, I'd like to thank the three speakers who gave detailed account of the facets of partition, the history of it, what led up to partition, in the run-up to partition, and even post-partition after that, what all has been happening. Friends, at the very outset, I would like to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for thinking of it as starting a Remembrance Day about an event that was so shattering. 1,000-year history of Bharat, such a thing had happened. 20 to 30 lakhs people were massacred. Several crores people were uprooted from their homes, where their ancestors for generations, for hundreds and thousands of years, they lived there. It was their land. But overnight, they became unacceptable, and they had to live in the most traumatic situations. Over 100,000 girls and women were abducted, forcibly converted. Now, such country, Bharat, was severed. Now, what could be more significant to remember than such an event? You know, friends, the country or society, those who do not remember their tragedies, they will be condemned to repeat it again and again. Look at China. When the British annexed the Hong Kong for trading opium in 1839-40, And when the Japanese sacked Nanking, Chinese continued teaching even till today the century of humiliation. They called about sacking of Nanking, they called rape of Nanking. This is the chapter in the Chinese school and college history. If you do not remember what happened to you, how we were humiliated, how we were tortured, how we were traumatized, it is shameful. And it took 74 years after independence for a prime minister to start this day. And there are people who question it. Why are we talking about it? Friends, there are several questions. Why did the partition happen? Of course, we have blamed the British. Rightly so. But did they create the partition, or they exploited a situation that was created by our people? Is partition a thing of the past, that it is over? Have the wounds of partition been healed, or they are still bleeding? And can we say there will not be any partition hereafter with confidence? Now, these are very relevant questions. Why did the partition happen? It's very easy to say, okay, British did it. Yes, they exploited a situation. But we had a set of people here who called that Muslim as is a nation which cannot coexist with others. They had a concept of kafir. And kafir, with kafir they cannot exist. Kafirs are hated, kafirs have to be kept at a distance. Now, what happened, how tragic it was, we saw this, a small clipping. We also heard the living witnesses and those who were descendants of the victims. Friends, while it is important to remember such a tragic incident in our history, nation's history, which never happened in our 5,000 years of civilization, because Bharat was built on a philosophy that we are all members of a family. Vasudhaiva kutumbakam, mama atma sarva bhuta atma. We are all members of one family. Individual, society, the world, creation, all are manifestation of the same divine. Diversity is celebrated. More the merrier. A flower has numerous colored petals, is beautiful. Imagine a flower, a monocolored flower, and imagine a flower with multiple colored petals. This is Bharat. This is the organizing principle of Bharat, which built it, sustained it for over 5,000 years. And when somebody comes, a set of people comes with a notion of others, that kafirs and non-kafirs, this is a poison in the body polity or body social of Bharat or body culture of Bharat. Question is the partition thing of the past? We have heard our eminent speaker Sanjeev Sanyalji mention about how it is continuing. What happened to those who at the time, those who were uprooted and they somehow managed to escape? At that time, they came, they had They suffered a lot for generations, for decades. But at least they were accepted as Indian citizens. But what happened thereafter? Time and again, both from the east and the west, and more from the east, waves after waves, when persecution happens of non-Muslims, they all came in hordes. Be it 65, 71, 1992, even last year. At the time when Pakistan was created, in East Pakistan, there were 4 crore 20 lakhs population. Of the 4 crore 20 lakhs population, 33% were non-Muslims. Today they are 8%. Where did this 24, 25% go? Majority of them were massacred, they were converted. Several thousand of them, they escaped seeking refuge in this land. And they remained stateless till the other day. They were not treated as Indian citizens. What was their fault? What was their fault? It was their land. For hundreds and thousands of years, hundreds of generations had lived there. And suddenly they were told that no, you are kafir and they will not, you just can't live with them. And they had to live, leaving behind everything. And here, Bharat, which organizing principle of which is all inclusive, we are all members of a family, we refuse to give them citizenship. Why? It took the present government, a government of Prime Minister Modi, to come up with Citizenship Amendment Act and ensure that these citizens, those of our people, those who have come, not they have come on their own, they have escaped, saved their life, leaving everything behind. Partition is an ongoing phenomenon. What is happening in Jammu and Kashmir? For last 78 years, Pakistan is fighting Jammu and Kashmir to take it simply because they say that no, Muslim majority area cannot be with Bharat. You heard the other day, the general who says that Pakistan was created on the basis of Kalma, and the Kalma mandates that we must take the Kashmir back. And what happened when Pakistan captured, and they were allowed to capture and retain POK? 15 lakhs Hindus and Sikhs, those who were there in POK. What happened to them? Mirpur, another area, were completely massacred. Nearly 1 lakh of them, they came somehow, escaped to Jammu. When they escaped to Jammu, till the other day, they remained homeless. They couldn't buy a piece of land. They were members of Jammu and Kashmir, undivided Jammu and Kashmir. Their only fault was that they were not Muslims. Their children were not allowed to get a job in Jammu and Kashmir state government. They had no ration card. They couldn't buy land. They lived in the most terrible conditions. Why? What was their fault? And what the governments were doing? Just for the sake of vote through appeasement, governments after governments have been denying the reality, which has brought this whole situation to a pass where our people have difficulty in even remembering and they have audacity to ask, why are we talking about it? Pakistan created a wing of their own military, what is called jihadi wing. Our people were made to believe by our own people that, no, they are all terrorist jihadis, they are not entirely. They are part, my friends, they are part of Pakistan military establishment. They have created this jihadi force to fight and take the Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir to Pakistan. And there were people in Jammu and Kashmir, Jamaat-e-Islami, which was patronized by this government sitting in Delhi. Instead of taking harsh action against them, they were patronized and pampered. And they prospered. They kept inflicting wounds after wound. The latest is Pahalgam. But times have changed. When Pahalgam they got the taste of it through Operation Sindoor. And I don't think they will ever be in the same mind do it. But that's not all. That's not all. In the Eastern Front, East Bengal, East Pakistan and Bangladesh, they have always looked upon entire eastern part of Bharat as their Lebensraum, as their natural living space. And the demographic invasion that was happening in the northeast, Assam, Bengal, and Simanchal of Bihar, all this Kishanganj, Purnia, Katihar, Araria, this demographic invasion is like a time bomb. Western Assam, there is a movement that it should go to Bangladesh. There is a movement, they say, because we are large in number and we cannot live with Kafirs. We must go to our people. In Dhubri, the movement is on. And we are thinking as if partition is over. No, it is not over. Attempts to partition India, Bharat, is a work in progress. And it is important that we must be aware of it. And so, what is the way forward? What do we do about it? We just cannot just remember it and be at it, leave it at that. We have to take certain steps. And the first step is talk about it, discuss about it. Let there be awareness about it, because our people have not been told, 3 generations have not been told the horror of partition. And the fact that partition wounds are still bleeding. They are bleeding in Jammu and Kashmir, they are bleeding in the eastern part of Bharat. Even now, the people, those of our people, those who are in Bangladesh, anything that happens, any turmoil that happens, they are the first victim. Why? Because they are not Muslims, and so they are victims. Reality has to be accepted. So we must talk about partition and the fact that threat of partition. What happened? What trauma, what tragedy it caused, and how it is an ongoing phenomenon. We must reject the very notion of anyone who talks the concept of kafir. Bharat does not believe in kafir. If anyone talks about kafir and hatred and distance from kafir, they have no place in Bharat. We must reject it. We cannot allow that to happen. When the textbooks are teaching, here in our neighboring state, matter went to Kerala High Court, Cochin High Court. Some enlightened citizens took the matter. Look, here are schools where the textbooks are being taught how to keep distance from others. These things must be rejected. Voice must be raised. Democratic and constitutional manner. It has no place in Bharat. Those who say that Sharia is above the Constitution of India, they have no place in Bharat. There is no question of any such idea or any such ideology. Constitution of Bharat is the supreme. There cannot be any other act above it. But there are people who have the audacity to say that no, Sharia is above. We will not accept it. And whole society remains quiet. Why? Friends, we also must talk more and more about certain aspects of Constitution that talks about Bharat and where the soul of Bharat rests. Directive principles, nobody talks about. Fundamental duties, which talks about nation, nationalism, freedom movement, values of freedom movement. National song, national anthem, national flag, nobody talks about. Fundamental rights, everyone talks about. Entire jurisprudence of Bharat, High Court to Supreme Court, almost 75 to 80% is only about fundamental right. Nobody talks about fundamental duties. Nobody talks about directive principles. It is the directive principles that where the soul of Bharat lies, is the fundamental duties which can protect the soul. We must talk. We must discuss. Unfortunately, even in law colleges, I have met many young lawyers. I have visited law university. I'm a chancellor of law university. I have been visiting the law colleges. They just draw blank about it. Directive, I'm not here, yes, there is a directive principle. No. I think we cannot let this situation continue. Today, we have problems. We have threats. Threats external and internal both. External, we know on both sides. East and the West, there are both the countries. They believe that they must grab the part of Bharat. Eastern flank wants to take away Assam, Bengal, and Simachal, Bihar. And West, of course, Jammu and Kashmir. They will not succeed, that's a different matter. But we cannot just leave the entire responsibility to our armed forces. As a citizen, it's our responsibility to be conscious, to be aware of it, to be alert about it. So we must talk about partition, must talk about the horror of partition. We must talk about the bleeding wounds of partition, which is bleeding even today. We must talk about the ongoing attempts at partition. We must take pride in who we are. And those advices, those directions are there in the directive principle and fundamental duties of our Constitution. There are viruses within as well. Those who are dividing us in the name of caste, creed, language, region, they are weakening our immunity. One says that no, we will have a homeland separate. Other is weakening the immunity of our body. We read in the newspaper that some senior leaders of a neighboring state has felt very bad about it. How can you talk about partition and horror of partition? I can understand his pains because he believes in an ideology that doesn't believe in a nation, that Bharat is a nation. For him and his people, there are only two kinds of people in the world, rich and poor, and they must continue fighting with each other. That's all. They have no concept of nation. So when you talk about nation and partition of a nation, it's something which is absurd to him. He would not like that to happen, to people to talk about it. So I think this day it is a solemn day. It's a day with somber remembrance and taking cognizance of how things are today so that we can be safe tomorrow. And as we know that as our country is rising, till 10 years back, there was no problem. Now there is a problem. Till 10 years back, the whole world was condemning us. India, not actually condemning, but they were pitying us, looking at us as the marginal people. Bharat, India will not grow economically. India will grow only at Hindu rate of growth. That is how they will grow. Today, for the last 5 years, when Bharat is the fastest growing large economy, And when we have 11th, 10th, 11th, we have come to the 4th and we are going to be the 3rd largest economy. When the world is looking at us, especially the global south looks at Bharat as their voice, many people, many countries would not like it to happen. Now we have, it is our duty to remain united, to ensure that Constitution is respected, constitutional values are supreme, universal brotherhood, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the principle that we have adopted is our soul. And we must make Bharat a Viksit Bharat, a self-reliant Bharat in the next 2 decades. That's the only way. And that is a place and a commitment that we must take on this day. I'm sure our young people will do it. They are already doing it. If the country is rising today, it's rising on the power of the youth, power of the women. It is their power which is catapulting us from nowhere to somewhere high and mighty in the sky. Friends, thank you very much for being a part of it. And I would expect that hereafter we must do it in all the institutions every year. And that way I will see that universities and colleges, they do it hereafter. They will do it. Thank you very much. Jai Bharat.
We now request the Honorable Governor and the distinguished dignitaries on dais to join us in witnessing the cultural performance by Central Bureau of Communication. The day, known as Partition Horrors Remembrance Day, serves as a solemn occasion to remember and commemorate the countless lives lost and individuals displaced as a result of the nation's partition. This tragic event led to one of the most significant mass migrations in history. Families were torn apart, forced to leave behind their ancestral homes and start anew as refugees. Partition Horrors Remembrance Day serves as a stark reminder of the importance of eradicating social divisions and disharmony while also promoting unity, social cohesion, and empowerment. In this spirit, we present to you a poignant dance drama as a tribute to those who suffered during this tumultuous period in our nation's history.
தெய்வங்கள், குருக்கள், தீர்க்கதரிசிகளின் நாடு இது. ரிஷிகள் மற்றும் முனிவர்கள் தவம் புரிந்த பூமி இது. துணிவும் வீரமும் மிகுந்த போர் வீரர்களின் இந்த நிலம்